Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Creative Redundancy. Hold on a sec. Anyways, sorry about that. I moved my mic volume down by accident. So anyways, welcome everyone back to this live stream or replay, depending on how you see it or when you're coming in. But basically, this is going to be about preparedness and survivalism chit-chat. Now, I'm no expert in survivalism, the bushcrafting type of thing, or preparedness or prepping. I'm just trying to learn more and put the knowledge that I acquire and learn into something constructive. And of course, it's just going to be more general info about these topics. So let me whip up the side chat here. Well, I got some people coming in. Now, if you're watching this, or on the live stream watching this when it's live, I do have the slow-mo on for every 5 seconds right now because I expect the chat to go faster on this, just because it's a more open topic. So let's whip out the intro here. Intro! And boom! Sierra's in the house. Hi everyone. Alright, let's whip up the side chat here. What's up, John, man? How's it going? Inspired John's in the house. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate the channel support very much so. What's up? Live long and prosper. So, preparedness and survivalism. And I kind of will brush by the bushcrafting a little. And, you know, these topics, they have their differences, but they also have their similarities. Learning something in bushcrafting, let's say, as simple as maybe making fender sticks, could help you in survivalism. If you were ever stuck in a situation where, let's say, hypothetically, example, everything's bland, can't get dry tinder, and you're remembering, oh yeah, I get this knife with me, or machete, or an axe. It's trying to get into the wood on the inside, and maybe it's drier, for example, like that, and you fender it and split some wood and stuff like that. Am I missing something in here? Anyways, I guess I'll just keep going here. So, now, if anyone wants to talk about any specific topics, fire, water, shelter, cover, food, navigation, orientation, signaling purposes, first aid. Now, I'm no expert on every one of these categories by any stretch of the imagination. I'm still learning, but, you know, let's get the discussion going on those type of topics. So, about to sneeze here. Let me have a sip of coffee here. So let's talk about, let's cover first. Or shelter. So yeah, shelter or cover questions and topics right now. So let's go cover that. And hello, Nathaniel's Adventures and Dash Out. Welcome. I appreciate you guys coming in. And don't worry, there'll be a fire topic for you too, Nathaniel. Probably a little bit later. Hi, Flower. Thank you for listening while you walk. Sometimes it's good to get out. Aw, hey, thanks, Dash out there. Hey, I'm just, like I said, maybe I got the ideas, but I'm just learning like everyone else still. Just to become better. However small it is. No matter how small the progress is, a lot of small progress or little steps can make a big difference at the end. Let's see. So yes, it's cool, Dash out. I guess Dash out has to dash out again. Hello, Gray. Yes, he's back. Yeah. So yes, cover shelter options. I mean, basically, you're taking shelter or cover. You know, probably if anyone's done any camping, first thing everyone thinks of is like a tent, maybe a tarp. But basically, you're trying to make a microclimate in comparison to whatever Mother Nature's throwing at you at that time. So, during the summer, you're probably trying to stay dry from the rain. Probably taking cover or shelter from mosquitoes, so maybe it's mosquito netting and stuff like that. Versus, let's say during the winter, you're having shelter or cover, which could include clothes on your back if you had to prevent getting cold, frostbite, frost nip, that kind of stuff. Where your gloves, your toque, scarf, they're all gonna be part of the cover or shelter. And now I'm not gonna put on a big parka because it's way too hot today. Like for example, today here, now it's gonna be roughly, because it's still not mid-afternoon yet, and yesterday it was about 34, 35 degrees Celsius, which is about 94, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take. Yeah, give or take. Pretty sure, yeah, 35, it's 95. Don't quote me on that. So, for today, I mean, I gotta make sure to keep cool. Maybe not let the heat in right away, just because, and reinforce that kind of part of the shelter. The only reason I even have this window open, the drapes open, is just so to let the light in, or else I would just leave them closed, because it's quite hot out. So, let me bring some examples here. So, another thing that could be used for shelter to either protect yourself or to make something more improvised, like a tarp when you don't have one, for example, the survivalism part of it, is maybe you brought in something, prepared item that you made in advance or brought in advance, like garbage bags. So here's a thin one, here's a contractor bag, and you know, sometimes some cordage helps too. So stuff like this, it's multifunctional. You could use it for different things. Rain cover, maybe you stretch it all the way out. Maybe if you have two of garbage bags or contractor bags, you probably could make a two tent very easily. Just cut out the bottom, slide them in between, and kind of go from there. Now, another thing I've kind of been experimenting with, is joining stuff together, like tarps, for example, out when you're already out, you know, in the middle of the field, in the woods already, and you didn't bring something, like, yeah, you can use tape, and probably to a certain degree I would use it, but one thing I did last time I was out, my last outing that I went to, is that we had two big tarps, but individually they weren't enough to cover our whole tent, sunshade, and shelter area. So what I did was thinking, I'm like, what can I use to kind of join them together? So what I did was I used the pebble method, or smooth rock thing. And basically, if this was the overlap of two tarps, green and blue, which were they were, I overlapped them and basically used smooth rocks, stuck them in between both of the tarps, tied a compression knot, arbor knot, into it, cinched it down, made another knot so it wouldn't come undone, and put 9 of them along the overlap of both tarps, so that way I could, with friends and stuff like that, have it where it's together. Now, if you added tape along the seam, not only would the tape prevent air and water from getting in, like rain or winds from blowing, but the pebbles or rocks, the smooth rocks, for example, would keep it together. So it's not just the tape holding it together, but it's actually physically something there to hold it together. If that makes sense. It's just something I started to do, and that was the first time I've ever joined 2 tarps together randomly. But I was just like, oh, this was easy. And that was just based on something I've done before with tarps. I used, sometimes I don't personally use groundlets, and sometimes you want to anchor in a certain spot, but there's no groundlet there. Then what do you do? That's where I usually would use the smooth rock, maybe a marble, something similar to that. Hello, Kelly. Hi. Yo, it's Bobland's Adventures. Hello, Robert. How's it going, man? Hey, I appreciate it that you can drop by a few minutes. I appreciate it. I appreciate the channel support so much. And yes, I do remember about the tag video. Sorry, I haven't done it yet. I'm not per se really a bushcrafter though, but I think I might have something along the lines. It might not specifically be a tag for a VR for that tag, but I will kind of give you a spotlight later on in a different video, if not that. Something related more to bushcrafting, or like woodcrafting. What's up, Reaper? Yo, it's Corey! Corey! What's up, man? And yes, Corey, I did drop by your live stream last night. I was so busy that I didn't stay long, but I did give you a little bit of time. I know what you guys were talking about. Yeah. With hiking deep. Enough said. Anyways, let's see. Reaper said, I do not like space blankets so far. When I used one in the winter, way too much water gets on you. See, that's the thing too. Space blankets, Mylar blankets, which I thought I had an example of, which I don't. Let's just use this reflective foil right here, or wrapper, which I'm just going to invert in. Usually these aren't really breathable, and Mylar, when it gets cold, because you're directly touching it, you don't feel that conduction transfer of heat. And like I said, water vapor can't get out. So if I remember the last time I was using one too, I made sure I had something dry cover in between. So let's say, a blanket or whatever. I'm just going to use my shirt for example here. So something like that. So that way I'm not in direct contact with the water or droplets or moisture right away. And maybe be able to kind of stay dry a little more, yet kind of trying to stay warm. I know that happened to me in the last outing I went to when I woke up. Now, I was still dry. I had a blanket around me. I had a Mylar blanket type thing around me too, and there was moisture close to the Mylar part of it, and the blanket, the top layer was slightly damp. Slightly moist, not like drenched or anything, but underneath the covers, I was still dry. So it's good enough at that time. But also, it's not winter time. Summertime. You know, temperatures were probably in the 50 Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius range. So it's not as cold. But yes, I do understand where you're coming from, because I've experienced that before too. Hey, thanks, Corey, for dropping in, and I appreciate it. Say hi to Corey's lady for me too. Oh, I'm glad I decided to put the slow-mo on. Oh, by the way, I have the 5-second slow-mo on. Or it should be, yeah, 5 seconds. Because I kind of figured that this topic would go much faster. Lots of people want to talk about stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they collect a lot of condensation. Generally, it's better to have Mylar as close as you can towards you, but not directly touching it. And try to keep it away from me as far as possible. So even if there's condensation, like if you have like an A-frame or whatever, it'll drip to the side, away from you, and not directly onto you. So if you had an A-frame of a tent, Mylar, right, bridge line, hopefully the water vapor will collect at the top and run to the side more, if that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Alright, Reaper, yeah. Yo, look who's just in time! Hello! From the Just in Time Prepping channel, Will. Hello, Will. Actually, I don't usually, let's see, I don't like to turn on the lights during the daytime, but I'll turn on the light here. Come on, white balance here. Just so you can see my face a little bit more. I don't like turning on the lights because I feel like it's so bright in here. Yeah, the lighting in this room is awful at times. Anyways, let me keep. Oh yeah, and of course, great. Yeah. Gotta say hi too. Let me just catch up with the chat here real quick. Oh yeah, that's lucky, Reaper. Your sleeping got soaked, but it was dry. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not so bad if just the outside of your sleeping is just slightly damp. As long as you're still dry on the inside, that's what matters. Because if you're wet and you have to get out, you're not gonna feel warmed up until you dry out, which probably means you need to start that fire that morning, and hopefully you prepared enough beforehand, a little forethought, maybe gather up some extra kindling, maybe if you had a cutting tool like a knife or whatever, you made some extra feather stick and just kept them with your shelter just to help it along. Oh, you don't try the super shelter? I think I've heard about one thing about the super shelter. I'm trying to remember who released that video, but it kind of makes sense. But the super shelter is kind of different if it's freezing rain, apparently, which kind of makes sense because the freezing rain will cool down your fire and it'll coat your window of your clear plastic bag with water, and water will absorb thermal energy, so you might not be getting all the effect of this so-called super shelter or a greenhouse type of shelter. This is what I've heard, and I'm kind of trying to make sense of it. Not a lot of people talk about that, but I guess, freezing rain does happen, around the freezing point or melting point. So probably in between, like, what, 26 Fahrenheit to 36 Fahrenheit, or -4 Celsius to +4 Celsius. It's possible freezing rain or mixed precipitation can happen. It can change too. drastically, where it changed from rain to freezing rain, or maybe from rain to flurries to wet snow and stuff like that. I mean, even with wet snow too, a super shelter, it'll start coating it with like white stuff. White's gonna reflect heat away from you, or away from the shelter, which isn't good too. So you would have to push the snow off or brush it off. Alright, man. I'll catch you later. From Bob's Woodland Adventures, Robert there. Yes. Let's see. Well, I'm not creating yet, although it doesn't mean I haven't. But I guess I am creating content. But that's a given. Oh yeah, be careful how you test things, right? If you know the consequences or things that could go wrong, if you really want to test something and not sure about something, have a contingency plan. Have that bail-out bag, right, where you have a sleeping ready to go, an instant fire that you can make of some sort, where you know it's a can of fire starters, and you know if you gotta burn it all, you burn it all just to warm up to dry out. And maybe you have a vehicle nearby, right? Or you do it in the backyard, where you can get to a proper shelter or home fairly quickly. I know sometimes when I'm testing out stuff, I'm like, you know, I don't need to go all the way into the bush to test this part out. It's probably gonna be more or less the same. Just reading what you guys are saying real quick. Jeez, the chat's going pretty fast. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, super shelter, usually you'll be kind of laying down, so you want a long fire, so all that light and heat is directed to you. And of course, you know, you have, most of the time you'll have mylar in the back to reflect the radiant heat back towards you or back down towards you and stuff like that. I think I've also heard of people like bringing in certain objects or whatever, maybe a black canteen, laying it out, so it'll absorb some energy too, slowly radiate it out, or maybe some rocks or whatever, so it'll absorb some energy and slowly radiate that heat back out towards you. Pardon me. Oh yeah, those greenhouse type of shelters will get pretty hot. Like, I think that's why no one uses them when it's above freezing. Or something along the lines of that. Let's see. Huh. Just in time, Prepping said, he went out camping this one time, and it looked like rain, so he tapped the top of the tent and dug out a ditch all around his tent with an exit downhill, and it worked. Oh yeah, I could see that, kind of like making a moat and probably diverting the water away from you so it doesn't pool next to you. So even if you were using a tent with a tarp, you don't. There's less water, which means less chance of it trying to soak through and soaking you underneath by accident. Yeah, I could see that. And I guess another thing is, if it's raining hard enough, right? You probably could gather some rainwater if you needed to, I guess. Alright, anyways, I think I'll give another minute for talking about shelter or cover options. And remember, clothing is part of shelter too. That's part of cover too. It's probably gonna be your first line of defense. So yeah, I mean, tarps, garbage bags, contractor bags, mylar blankets. Just vinyl. Clear bag or a drop sheet for a window for spur shelter, greenhouse shelter. I also like this is gonna work against rain, blocks and wind. Generally speaking, plastic's not gonna be breathable, so you gotta watch out for condensation, stuff like that. You know, maybe having some cordage will help too. Learning a few basic knots to help you so you can anchor down your tent, your tarp, your rain fly, and stuff like that. Angling your stakes away and stuff like that. All comes into play. Oh yeah, exactly. Reaper. I've experienced that before too, where not specifically about shelter, but just scavenging and walking out. Oh, 10% chance of showers turns into 100% chance, and I'm like, I still brought a little bit of shelter with me. I'm like, okay, at least I got something to kind of stay dry with in the meantime. Didn't last long. Sun came back out and I dried out, but I was just like, yep. Just because it's only 10% chance, there's still a chance. It's not zero. Alright, I think I talked about enough about shelter. And there's probably, and covered, there's probably a lot more stuff. But we're gonna talk about fire next. Why not? Fire. Woo! So fire. I expect this to go for a while. So fire. Questions and topics now. So fire. Whew. What do I always say? As I bring out some examples here. Fire is one of those things to practice. Things like water and wind and cold are going to be your kind of, you know, enemies. Things that are going to prevent you from getting that fire started. And for the tendency for that stuff to not burn. Because fire is a chemical reaction. Usually with, like, stuff that's organic that has carbon in it. Hence, you get carbon dioxide and smoke. So you're gonna need something. And of course, fire's got that fire triangle where you need oxygen, fuel like wood, stuff like that, cotton ball, whatever, and heat. And that heat has to be sufficient enough to start your kind of fuel or tinder, and hopefully there's enough air to keep it going. Where having, in the beginning stages, sometimes having more surface area allows more air to come through, which hopefully means that your fire you're trying to get can get hotter. So, feather sticks and stuff like that. I mean, even on my last camp out, I remember the way that we acquired the wood and stuff like that, it was damp on the outside, and it rained earlier that day too. So what we're finding, everything's damp on the outside. So I still had to split this wood or baton and stuff like that down, and it was just like, I touched it with my bare finger. I'm like, it's not, doesn't feel warm. Feels kind of cool or a little damp. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna feather some sticks here. That way, I can get a nice hot flame going and not just smoking it. Hello, happy trails hiking. Welcome. It's always a-okay when you drop in. Hello, Budget Bushcraft. Thank you for taking the time to drop in, both of you. I appreciate it very much. So, just in case anyone missed it, I'm talking about a hot topic right now: fire. To go along with this stuff I'm talking about. So, I basically say personally, you know, now, I try to have as much as you can, but a flame source, lighter, matches, snort matches, a sparkling source, ferrite magnesium bar combo, yeah. And maybe a tertiary type of source, or like, you know, like solar. Maybe you know how to make bow drill, friction fire, or maybe you have some sort of chemical reaction that's exothermic in nature that releases heat, something like that. But try to at least have, you know, a flame and spark method. So, you know, whatever combination. Especially if you're making a fire kit. So, if I brought out a fire kit right now, like this one right here, which I've shown in a different video, and I'll try to remember to end screen it or put it in the description later on. But basically, I have a flame and spark and a heat source. So I have lighters in here. I got a ferrite in here. I got a lens in here to give me that option. Whatever's not working in that situation, right? Whatever's not working. One method might be easier than the next one, you know, or maybe I'm in survival mode and I've got to conserve things because of whatever reason. Hey, I got sunlight, I can use solar this time, conserve my ferrite, for example. Or let's say if it's raining, I'll be like, hey, okay, I got the ferrite, at least I can do something. And having some sort of tinder, man-made or natural, so maybe it's petroleum jelly cotton balls, maybe it's fat wood, lighter knot, pine knot, birch bark, that kind of thing. And have some sort of tool, like a cutting tool, could be a pencil sharpener, I guess, to a certain degree, to make tinder with. So you can process it, something to make feather sticks, increase surface area. Because a wise teacher once told me, the secret to fire is surface area. The more surface area you have, the more air can get into it, which means if it's already starting to burn or smoke, it might engulf it in flames faster or get it to burn hotter. And, you know, where you can start putting on, like, not just kindling, but actual sticks. Big sticks. You know, sticks of this size. Yes, I actually have a container of sticks, but this is for different things. Anyways, coming back to what I'm saying, let me just read right here. Alright. Oh yeah, frozen wood is pain. Yeah, exactly. Where you're not have to increase the surface area. Okay, I'm gonna say hi. What's up, Jace? Jace M Outdoors in the house. And thank you for dropping in. Appreciate it. Just reading what you guys are saying. If you can start a fire in a damp climate, you can make fire anywhere, or virtually anywhere. You know, I've seen those videos on Discovery Channel. You know, sometimes for what they have, even more experienced people can have difficulties. Fire is not always a 100% guarantee. Sometimes you just won't be able to, for whatever reason. Or the lack of resources, or the lack of materials, or the lack of tools for making it. But hopefully you practice enough and know enough where you can be like 95% of the time you can do it. just that rare occasion that you might not be able to just because you don't have a proper tool, or you can't find proper tinder or something that catch a spark or flame onto. Just, or if you can't start fire, well, when it's cold, then you're gonna have to make sure your shelter's pretty bomb-proof. Alright, Reaper, thank you for dropping in. Peace out to you too. Reaper, malicious sidetracked outdoors, and gearaholic. Whew. Oh, hey, thanks, Happy. Hey, it's Ron from the Off-Grid Tiny House. What's up, man? Oh, to my Canadian subscribers. Ooh, I got a nice maple leaf here. Oh, wait. Wait. Hey, Rob. Guess what? I still have it, man. Look. Still have it, look. This is a little USB light that Ron from the Off-Grid Tiny House graciously and kindly mailed and gifted to me. I appreciate it very much. I actually appreciate it so much that I'm still working on trying to modify it. I have this little USB plug-in thing and it just fits over top, so technically I guess I can have a diffuser. I've used it a handful of times already. It's been very useful when I need it. It's kind of cool too. Pyromaniac. Hey, thanks, Gray. And lack of energy too. You might have a lack of energy that you can't. Yeah, you made so many friction fires, but you're so tired. You're just like, oh, I just can't do it this time, which could happen. Of course, where something if you had something to like a shortcut, I'll use the word shortcut, or something that's easier like charcoal off with you, that might actually be the difference where, hey, I just gotta get this friction fire hot enough to get the charcoal off ignited, then I can go from there instead. Alright? That might save you some time, or some energy. Or something like that, or, you know, being able to find fat wood. Or maybe you can get a quick flame from somewhere, whatever, birch bark or whatever. You're using pine sap to kind of extend your flame or your flame working time, as I've kind of started to say now from a different channel. Real good monkey. One. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, another thing is, I guess, is so important too, especially during the winter time, or if the ground's wet, which I've experienced before too, is have some sort of base for your fire. The earth can suck heat from your fire very fast through conduction, or if the ground's wet, your tinder or whatever fuel, in this case, from that fire triangle is going to be damp a little bit, which means that it's going to smoke more versus giving off a lot of heat. Especially, and that's going to be hard, especially if you're just starting it and you don't have much, you know, really good tinder out there. Oh yeah, that's good coffee. What was I say here? Well, I should say, fire, like I've said before, fire can do a lot of things, and so can, you know, these sources. It could be used as a light source if need be. A sparking source like ferrite or something like this magnesium bar can give you light too. Let's say if you're in a cave, for example, And a solar option like this can be used for other things. I've shown a lot of different things, from making signs to solar engraving, which is kind of cool. And I kind of dig the solar engraving a little bit more now. I've been showing it off on this last camp out with people. Made this stick and I just put some words on it. It was kind of cool. I ended up not keeping it just because I can make another one next year. Next time I go out. You know, it was all for fun. Just kind of, you know, just to make it myself at home. Make a home sign or something like that. Hello, Vanessa, Kitty. Thank you for taking the time to drop in. I appreciate it. Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Corey. Exactly. I remember one time I used foil as a base. Now, I don't usually use foil as a base, but I was out with friends. It's a pre-established camps type of site where they've had many fires there. The ground was wet. It was drenched, right? There just happened to be foil. There just happened to be foil. I was just like, oh, I might as well just use this. It's already there. I don't even have to make a base with wood yet, if I didn't have to. Just because I already got something there, and we built on that, and we got a fire going. But I was just like, keeping that in mind. Or on snow too, right? That way, as your base melts into it, it doesn't get wet necessarily right away, and hopefully your fire, the heat from it is gonna let it liberate enough where it'll kind of overcome the natural tendency for it to not go on its own. Where, hey, if you kept adding stuff to it, it'll be self-sustaining. I have that video. I have that great. I have that video for engraving, solar engraving. Great. I've shown it before. I'll try to screen it in, or put it in the description later on. Yes, those lenses are nice, Vanessa. I have quite a bit. All the way up to a 65-inch one. Yes, I have a 65-inch lens. I also have smaller ones too. 7x10s. All the way down to credit card wallet size ones, which I have right here. See, people look, instead of using the normal little plastic sleeve it came with, I use a vinyl type of sleeve that I made with vinyl. Vinyl will hold up a lot better. It's just as thin, and technically, if it was clear out, I probably don't even need to remove the vinyl from it. Although I could if I wanted to. Oh, and with these lenses, I added a little bit of extra thing to it, so it's not just for solar or for seeing things really, really close. But I have reflectors on the one strip of. On these cards, there's a lens right there, but along this one strip, there's nothing there. It's just plastic. Yeah, you could cut it off if you wanted to, but I decided to keep it and just add reflectors in, so it doubles as signaling if need be. And if I drop it in water, because water is clear, and this is clear, this would disappear. I wouldn't even see it. If I drop this in the, without the stuff on here, if I drop it in water, it would totally, you wouldn't be able to see it. It'd be hard to see. So, at least now, I can notice it, just in case. So, a couple extra things, then really adding a lot of weight, but adding a little bit of functionality. And making it a little bit harder to lose, just in case. Yeah, of course, after a fire ban. I know sometimes I'll use solar during a fire ban if I can. Sometimes, not all the time, but because sometimes I wait for the fire ban to end, then you know, make a bunch of charcoal. But But sometimes I've made charcoal with solar instead. Just like I kind of think if fire and solar ignition were on this, they'd be on the same coin, just different sides of the coin, like a heads and tails, because they can do very similar things. And sometimes I can do something with solar that I can't necessarily do with an open flame or sparks or an open fire. Like the engraving part, kind of a little bit more tricky if I only had fire. But with solar, piece of cake, easy. Not necessarily Jace. It's possible, but it's not very common. I know it's possible though. Lasers are definitely possible. Just acquiring it, that's a different thing. Oh yeah, Vanessa, yeah, from rear projection TVs. They used to have a lens that helped project the image forward. And basically they're exactly like what I just showed, but a much bigger size, and that's where I've acquired 65, 27, and a 42. Over at a dollar store, you can acquire lenses, glasses, and sometimes you can find things that are parabolic reflectors that can be used for solar ignition too. Oh, okay, thanks, Rob. Alright. Can you make charcoal in an electric oven? I think I've never tried it, but I don't see why not. As long as the temperature gets hot enough where it wants the smoke or gas out, I think so. I think so. I think so. I mean, I've made charcoal with solar, so... And that's just heat. Or light energy. Infrared energy, so... Could be possible. I mean, I've seen people make charcoal with a barbecue, with propane stoves and stuff like that, and I made it with solar. Also, you can do it with a fire, or with coals even too. I remember one time I had just coals. I would put my char tin in with fresh stuff and start to smoke, and I actually charred it without an open flame. So it's as long as it's hot enough, I think too. Exactly. Yes, Vanessa. Yes, they are nice. They are nice. I mean, like, I got so many. I make sure all of the larger bags, larger kits. I try to have one in there, especially some of the. I mean, it's so thin. Probably only weighs like an ounce. I'll be like, I get a fan. I can use it for solar, see things closer. Uh, magnify light, stuff like that. So it's worth it. And I just sandwich it in between something like first aid and a shelter or something like that. Really easy. Yes, Corey, they do pop balloons, but you realize that most of the time when you see that, they're black balloons, right? Darker, the darker the surface area is, the more light it will absorb and reflect very, very little. In the opposite of something that's mostly white and highly reflective will reflect a lot of the thermal energy light away and absorb a very small amount of it. Oh, do you, Vanessa? That is so awesome. That's so awesome. I didn't realize you did that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I had to kind of tone back on it a little. I realized maybe I'm hoarding it a little bit too much. Especially if I already have like so many. And I'll use them, and I think, especially if I already have one here, do I really need to acquire another one? Unless it's either really, really big, or another credit card size one, maybe. Where I'm getting it for free with not much effort. You know, I don't even have to bring it here. Someone else is bringing it. I'll be like, well, okay. You know what? A laser for charcoal. This I know to a certain degree can work because you can do it with a flashlight. I've actually done it with a friend that had a strong enough type of flashlight that has enough releases enough heat. And basically what we did was I took a little glass lens, put it on the top to focus that heat energy or light energy towards a point. Was able to get something already charred smoking and stuff like that, so it's possible. I think there's other videos on YouTube about that kind of stuff that you can see. Just give me 1 sec here. Just making come on, mouse. Work with me, mouse. Work with me, mouse. Oh jeez, I've already been going for 50 minutes and I only talked about 2 things. Fire and shelter. Fire, shelter, cover, and all that stuff. Jeez. I guess I could talk about fire for a long time. That's cool, Vanessa. Hey, I remember the Bunsen burners and the beakers too. Yep. Ah, good times. Oh, wow. Wow, someone's definitely has a little bit of experience in the science department. That's cool, that's cool. Well, I guess I briefly covered the water part. Anything else I want to say about fire? Oh, yeah. When I was on this last camp out, I was kind of showing people, you know, very quickly, right? It was just like, I blew something into flame. Some charcoal I brought in. I had some grasses that I gathered up from earlier in the day. What I remembered was friction. Remember, friction is heat too. Because you're rubbing 2 things together and they absorb energy and then, you know, get a little bit of heat. Sometimes I remember, even with my kind of bird's nest material, sometimes I rub it between my hands. Just so to give it the best possible chance. Because sometimes even that just can make a difference. Where it's just a little bit drier, takes a little bit less time, less blowing, you know, less smoke in your face. Even if you're blowing up, you know, I was mentioning heat rises, so try to blow your up into your bird's nest. So, right? And because heat rises, like I said, I tend, not all the time, but I tend to make my fireways where the easiest stuff or the finer stuff's at the bottom, increase in thickness or in coarseness all the way up. So as it builds up, it wants to build up and hopefully catch everything above it. And that's usually the way I like doing it. It takes a little bit more time to set it up, but if you only have like 1 match, a very small amount of fuel in your lighter or something, it might help. Because everything's just not, it'll be much easier because that little fluffy tinder bundle will go, your feather sticks will go, then you sticks above it, right? And then after a while you can start adding in stuff where it goes and that heat from below will dry out stuff above it and so forth and so forth. I'm just gonna whip a couple out here. Why not, Rob? Couple that I just have on my ankles right now. Oh, here's another one too. Here's one without a buckle. I had that option. I'll get into that in a second, Rob. Okay, I guess I'll talk about cordage for a little bit here. You should sit down. Boy, it's warm in here. Maybe I should stop drinking coffee and have some water. Yeah, whatever. Really, how I think about it is you don't necessarily need to put paracord bracelets or any type of cordage bracelets on your hands. Sometimes it's inconvenient to have them on your wrists, I should say. For example, your typing might get annoying on your wrist. You're doing some sort of things with your hands all day. Playing in the dirt. Construction. For example. Or you're washing dishes. You don't want that. Right? So sometimes I just put those type of bracelets on my ankles instead, and just have the cordage on my ankles instead. I can still get to it, providing I can reach down to get it, right? So hopefully it wouldn't be like that, where I can get access to my ankles and stuff like that. Paracord belts, hey. Hold on a sec. Give me 1 sec, guys. Give me exactly 1 second. I'll be right back. I gotta take care of something real quick here. Alright, CR's back. Sorry about the delay, guys. You know what happens when you drink coffee. It's gotta go back out. So let's see what you guys are talking about right here. You guys are talking about paracord, hey? Let's see. Or cordage in general, I should say. Now cordage... Now paracord's probably gonna be like the well-known in the survival, preparedness, and I guess even in the bushcrafting type of communities, stuff like that. But remember, there's also a lot of cordage too, from webbing to metallic cordage, or metal cordage like chains and stuff like that, or steel wire or braided wire and stuff like that. There's also stuff like bank line, fishing line, jute twine, and stuff like that. Let me see here. You just like spools? Well, I also say if you don't want to braid it or quick chain type of release or something like that, have it in a spool. Because if you get your line tangled, you're gonna have to take the time to untangle it or undo knots, which could be annoying at times. A spool is gonna be fast because you could just unwind it, and if let's say you didn't cut it because you made it originally, just wind it back up, put it back in your bag, pack up your shelter again and everything else. You could be on your way again, be back on the road again, for example. Once if you access this later on. Okay. It tends to melt. It's better with an open flame, I find. Unless you got a different strand in there that's like colin or jute twine like. That's different. Oh yeah, block and tackle, which basically is like a pulley system, pretty much. So a bunch of pulleys side by side, I believe. Yeah, I believe. Block and tackle is something you see on cranes and stuff like that. You'll see it. You'll see it in there, and that's why you'll see it usually in a block of 3 or something like that. So it goes around and around and around. It reduces it increases the lifting force just because you get a mechanical advantage or leverage, 1 to 2. Oh yeah. Making a plastic cordage from water bottles and such. It's possible. Now, if you acquire it, alright? If you can acquire it, but it's possible. I kind of tried it before. You probably could braid it too, I guess. I mean, obviously, I've shown what's known as PLARN. That's PLARN. So basically, plastic yarn. That's where it comes from. And basically, it's braided, and this is 4-strand zipper chains in it, braided here. More strands, figure this, the more weight's gonna hold. That's just a given. Obviously, it's not gonna be as strong as like paracord bank line and such, but I can make this if need to be, and use this for like smaller stuff. Oh, by the way, I guess I'll show it. Since I'm talking about cordage here. Oh, yeah. That's all PLARN that's been braided. Various lengths, various thicknesses. I think this one right here, which is pretty thick, because it's not quite as thick as the later, but it's as wide as one. Has this big here, give or take. This is like 8-strand. It's pretty strong for what it is, but obviously it's much thicker. And obviously it would take a lot more bags to do that. Oh, and I can't forget, where did I just put it? Oh yeah. Can't forget the contractor bag that I braided. Oh yeah, I tried that before too. That's contractor bag braided. Why? Because I just did it. Because the bag was already ripped slightly at the bottom, and I'm like, man, okay. Couldn't really make a tube tent out of it because there was tiny holes and rips, so I'm like, I'll braid it. Why? Just because I wanted to. Just to try it out. I mean, the bag already was used for gathering leaves and stuff like that, so it wasn't the first time I used it, and now it still won't be the first time I used it. So. I don't know, I don't have access to it. No, upgrade tiny house Rob. I could catch it on, video on demand or something like that. Maybe. Ah, yes, mechanical advantage, yes. For the amount of force needed to move heavier objects, yes. Paracord hammocks. No, I haven't tried that yet. But I think you would need a substantial amount to do something like that. or to a lesser extent, with thinner line, a fishing net. Yeah, I've known about a loan. And I've learned a couple extra things about a loan to keep in mind, which is say, for example, coming back to the fire thing is, don't misplace your ferro rod or striker or whatever because you can't see it. Yeah, I think that's happened twice on that show. So I always make sure I'm putting it back away or I'm identifying mine with some sort of marker that can stand out, whatever it is. They weigh a lot? Oh. No, I haven't made a net yet. I've been gifted a net, to be honest. Oh, I have it off to the side. It's in something else. I would have to sitting behind and below something, but I get gifted a net, but it's tangled, and I'm not sure if the condition. There might be some imperfections or rips in it, so I would still have to see. But I haven't made one yet, because again, you need for hammocks and nets, you need most of the time a substantial amount, because there's a lot of surface area that it has to cover. So you have to make the grid, and if it's a fishing net, it's got to be thin enough, or not thin enough, but tight enough, so fish don't swim through it because the opening's too big. And usually with a hammock, it's got to be thick enough so it's comfortable to lay on. Because you're probably not gonna make a hammock from fishing line. Oh, you made hoop nets in tinier cord. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, Rob, that would take a long time to do. Although I haven't made one yet, but I'm assuming it would take a little bit of time. Alright, Vanessa, I'll keep that in mind. Maybe I'll try one out. Or maybe I'll try it in a smaller scale and kind of understand it better. I guess, and be like, hey, I made a little net that's 2 by 2 feet. Okay. With that, learn the lessons from that and apply it to something bigger. Be like, okay, this makes sense. Get down the procedure, the method of doing stuff, and learn from that. Learn from a small scale so I can adapt it to a bigger scale if I have to. Alright, Corey, thank you for dropping in, and thank you for channel supporting, man. Boom! So I've been playing around with some metallic or metal type of cordage, experimenting with it. I still have to experiment with it. So here's a piece of wire right here. All the way up to chains, more chains like this. Experimenting with them. They're not have their own characteristics, their own pros and cons. So clearly, metallic or metal chain or cordage is usually going to be heavier, but it's going to be resistant or fireproof, unlike something like paracord that might be lighter weight. It's not melt. You can't really dangle it over a fire, like with a tripod, for example. Something like a chain's probably going to be a little bit more ideal, easier to use, because you can get it way over the flames and not worry about it breaking necessarily because it's melting. I know exactly what we're gonna talk about next. While I go get it, is water. Let's see. I'm gonna get some water too. It's kind of hot, and I feel like I need to hydrate up a little. So I got some water here. Nice glass bottle that's been in the fridge, so it's nice and cool. Nice and cold. I tripped it. Now water. Water is absolutely necessary for survival. Every single organism on the planet, no matter how big or how small, needs water, H2O, to survive. The amount that they need and how often will vary. Some can go longer. Some can't go longer. In certain situations, especially if it's hotter out, you're probably going to need it more often and more amount of it. And water is needed also for the digestion too. To get the enzymes in your stomach, that stomach acid going. You need water. Stuff like carbohydrates take the least amount of water to digest, whereas something like fats and proteins take much more water to digest. Yep. Alright. No, I think you're talking. I think you're talking about making ozone, aren't you, Brom? I've seen it before. I've never done that yet. Basically, I'm trying to remember the process of it. I know it's possible to disinfect water with ozone. If you can create it. I'm no expert on that, so I'm not gonna dive into that too much. But something I might consider in the future. Especially making my own or something similar might be useful. Oh yeah, exactly, Jace. Know where your nearest water supply is. Outside of a faucet. Stuff like that. Natural sources. Rivers, lakes. Stuff like that. Oh yeah, exactly. In the cold too, right? Yeah. Because even if you're just breathing in and out, you're losing water for your breath. I usually try to remember in extreme cold or extreme heat, keep your mouth shut. Breathe through your nose. You lose less moisture through your breathing through your nose than through your mouth. Your mouth dries out, stuff like that. Regardless if it's really hot out or really cold out. I'm pretty sure it's ozone you're talking about, Rob. I know about that stuff. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember how that works now. It's been so long. I haven't actually thought of that in a long time. I remember seeing it a long time ago. Well, I guess I'll just have to kind of take a look at it. So I'll probably go for another 15 minutes, so 5 plus 5 plus 5, right? 3 times 5 is 15, so 15 more minutes to the 90-minute mark, or to the top of the hour, or the bottom of the hour, depending how you see it and depending on your time zone. Now I'm not gonna get into topics like food and other stuff right now. So if anyone wants to talk about it in the previous four things, I guess in this case, so water, shelter, cover, fire, heat, light, and cords, cordage, maybe even tape too to a certain extent. Because technically tape is similar to cordage, or it can be made into cordage. And it has the similar things, it can be wrapped, bind, twisted, wrapped, can do similar things that cordage can do, like paracord, with different, tensile strength, of course. So let's see. Yeah, about 13 more minutes here. While I have a drink of water and hydrate my cells here. Of course, I've been talking, so my mouth's been open the whole time too, just drying out and stuff like that. So I think this is why when people do a lot of talking or speeches, there's always water, because their mouth actually does dry out really fast. I mean, during the summer months especially, I keep glasses of water. So I don't, as part of the kind of shelter in place plugging in, I don't have to worry about things like plastic so much. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh wow, Vanessa, I wish. Now remember, boiling water technically only makes it biologically safe. Sometimes you can't remember out in the backcountry, in the woods. Yeah, for the most part, boiling water is probably gonna be your A game. But there could be air contamination from water that's not biological. Could be chemical. Now the prime example is salt. Salt water. Can't boil it, so you're gonna distill it. Unless for some reason you have reverse osmosis with you. Or something, a desalination thing. Those desalination things are pretty expensive, I've seen. Like hundreds to thousands of dollars or something like that. I'm like, yeah. But it could be as simple as, a solar still, too. Because, like I said, it's not boiling works when it's to biologically keep it to make it safe to drink. But if it's not infected but contaminated with a lot of minerals, especially salt, it might be too salty where boiling's not enough. Or you can't just do it with boiling, where you have to remove the salt out, which usually would involve distillation. So making the water vapor evaporate, salt gets left behind, and there are little things and things that can only travel with the water vapor or vaporize just under boiling temperatures will vaporize too. And you regather it. Yeah, exactly, Vanessa. Yeah, exactly. And usually distillation usually takes a lot more energy, like solar distillation stuff like that, or even boiling it to vaporize it, and you condense gas rain as part of the water cycle, the watershed. I think when I had a on the stream. Yes, distillation takes a lot of energy also. Alright. Well, I'm not sure how much longer I'm gonna go. I might cut this a couple minutes early just because it seems like I'm lagging here a little here. So, no wait, just to not test my luck on anything, I'll probably go in a few minutes here. So another 2-minute warning here. So I want to say special thank you for everyone that's dropped by on this live stream. Ralph from the Off-Grid Tiny House, Vanessa here, Crew Survival, Jason, Outdoors, Gray, 1107, Reaper Malicious Sidetracked Outdoors, and Gearaholic. And I'm happy that Happy Trails came through, and Budget Bushcraft, and Just in Time Prepping, and I think, and the Fabulous Adventures Dash Out, Kelly here, Bob's Woodland Adventures, and Flower, and Inspire John came through. They all came by. Maybe not a lot of time, but they came by. So I appreciate the time, however short it was. So, thanks, Gray. I'll try to come. Pardon me. I'll try to come by again with our live stream here, whenever possible. So, yeah. Before I end this here. Outro time, like always. So as the world changes so much oneself to reach a new level of skill and knowledge one must practice. A single person can't help everyone in this world, but one person, me, you guys out there, doesn't matter about your age, race, or gender, can help someone in this world. So until the next video, it's peace out from the guy that's always in creation mode, 98.6% of the time. I'll catch you next time, guys. Thank you for dropping in and watching this either live or on the replay. It's peace out from CR. Later. And take care. And enjoy the weekend!